He said it himself. He hated it. Every single minute of it. The 4 a.m. runs through empty streets, the thousands of sit-ups in a sweat-soaked gym, the sparring sessions that left his body aching and his lungs burning, the repetition, the monotony, the grind that never ended and never got easier. He hated every minute of training, and he did it anyway. That sentence, that one brutal, honest, magnificent sentence, contains more wisdom about success, about greatness, about the human spirit than most people will discover in an entire lifetime of searching. Because we have been sold a lie. We have been told that the greats love the process, that champions wake up excited, that discipline feels like passion and sacrifice feels like joy. We have been told that if you find your purpose, the hard work won't feel hard. That is not the truth. The truth is what Muhammad Ali told us. He hated every minute of training, and he became the greatest of all time. Stay with me, because what I am about to tell you will change the way you see everything. It is 1960, Louisville, Kentucky. An 18-year-old boy named Cassius Clay is running through the pre-dawn darkness alone. The streets are cold and empty. There is no crowd cheering him on. There is no camera following his journey. There is no one watching at all, just a boy, and a road, and a choice. He doesn't want to be here. His bed was warm. The morning is not. His legs are already tired from yesterday's training. His lungs are already familiar with this particular brand of pain, but he runs. He runs because he made a decision that most people never make. A decision that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary, not in moments of inspiration, but in moments of resistance. He decided that what he wanted, the championship, the glory, the legacy, the chance to be something the world had never seen before, was worth more than how he felt in any given moment. He decided that his feelings were not in charge. His vision was in charge. Years later, the whole world would know his name, Muhammad Ali. 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. The man who stood toe-to-toe with Joe Frazier in the Philippines in the most brutal boxing match ever contested. The man who defeated George Foreman in Zaire when the entire world had written him off. The man who floated like a butterfly and stung like a bee and spoke with a poet's tongue and fought with a warrior's heart. But before the lights, before the roar of the crowd, before the moment when the referee raised his hand and the world exploded, there was a cold road, there was a tired body, there was a boy who hated every minute of it, and kept going anyway. Let me tell you what we don't show in the highlight reels. We show the knockouts. We show the footwork. We show the shuffling feet and the blinding combinations and the theatrical taunts and the poems and the press conferences and the hands raised in victory. We do not show the 5 a.m. mornings when the body says no. We do not show the days when the training feels pointless, when the progress is invisible, when the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels so vast and so permanent that the only rational response seems to be to stop. We do not show the doubt. Muhammad Ali was stripped of his heavyweight title in 1967. He refused to be drafted into the Vietnam War on the grounds of his religious beliefs and his conscience. And the world turned on him. Not some of the world, most of it. The boxing commissions took his license. The government threatened prison. The media called him a coward. The same man who stood in a ring and took punches from the most dangerous fighters on the planet called a coward for refusing to go to war. He lost 3.5 years. 3.5 years in the absolute prime of his athletic life, gone, not to injury, not to defeat, to exile, to punishment for having the nerve to stand by what he believed. Think about that. You think you understand sacrifice. You think you know what it costs to stay committed to something when everything and everyone is working against you. Imagine being at the peak of everything. You have worked for your entire life and having it taken, not lost in competition, taken by force, by law, by the weight of an entire system, pushing down on one man's shoulders. And during those 3.5 years, while he was banned from the sport he had given his life to, while lesser men would have crumbled, while the comfortable path of compliance and compromise sat right there waiting for him, he trained, he kept training. He hated every minute of it, and he never quit. Because Ali understood something about the struggle that most of us refuse to accept. The struggle is not the interruption of the journey. The struggle is the journey. The pain is not in the way. The pain is the way. And the moment you start waiting to feel ready, the moment you start waiting for motivation to arrive like a package on your doorstep, the moment you decide you will begin when conditions improve, you have already lost. There is a moment in 1974 that the whole world remembers. Kinshasa, Zaire, the middle of the night, October 30th, humid air, 80,000 people in that stadium and hundreds of millions watching around the world. Muhammad Ali is 32 years old. In boxing terms, that is old. His legs are not what they were. His speed has reduced. George Foreman, who is 25 years old, who has destroyed every man who has stood in front of him, who knocked down Joe Frazier 6 times in 2 rounds. George Foreman is standing across the ring. Every expert had picked Foreman. Not most experts. Every single one. Ali's own corner was afraid. And then Ali did something that no one expected. Something that made no tactical sense on paper. Something that could only come from a man who had spent years in the dark. Years training when he hated it. Years running roads that no one watched. Years building something inside himself that no opponent, and no system, and no exile, and no years of darkness could touch. He leaned against the ropes. He let Foreman hit him, round after round. He absorbed the punishment. He covered up. He leaned back on the ropes and let the most powerful puncher in the world throw everything he had. The crowd was horrified. His corner was screaming. The commentators thought it was over. But Ali was thinking, he was waiting. He was executing a plan so deep, so counterintuitive, so rooted in an understanding of endurance and patience and the right moment. A plan that only works if you have trained when you hated training. If you have stayed when leaving was easier. If you have built quietly and relentlessly a reservoir of will that no moment of pain can drain completely. In the 8th round, Foreman was exhausted. His arms were heavy, his punches had slowed. And Ali came off those ropes. 5 punches, clean, precise, devastating. George Foreman went down, the greatest upset in sports history. And it was built, brick by brick, morning by morning, mile by mile, on the foundation of doing the thing you hate for long enough with enough commitment that it becomes something no one can take from you. That is the turning point, not that night in Zaire. The turning point was every morning before it. There are things Muhammad Ali knew, things he lived, that most people will spend their entire lives searching for in the wrong places. The first truth is this: motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a resident. Motivation comes and goes. It is emotional weather. Some mornings you wake up and you feel it, that fire, that hunger, that absolute certainty that today you will do the thing. And some mornings you wake up and the fire is gone. The hunger is quiet. The certainty has been replaced by the very human, very understandable desire to stay still. Ali did not wait for motivation. He had a relationship with discipline that was entirely divorced from how he felt. He ran because he had decided to run. He trained because he had decided to train. The decision was made long before the alarm went off, long before the cold air hit his face, long before the question of whether he felt like it became relevant. You do not rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your discipline. What level is yours? The second truth. Suffering reveals what comfort conceals. There is a version of yourself that you cannot access in comfort. That version only appears under pressure, only becomes visible when the work is hard, and the progress is invisible, and every reasonable voice in your head is making a very logical case for stopping. Ali found that version of himself in the Thrilla in Manila. 14 rounds against Joe Frazier, the most physically brutal contest in boxing history. Both men were broken by the end of it. Both men found levels of heart and endurance that neither knew existed. Ali said afterward that it was the closest thing to death he had ever felt, and it made him more alive than anything else ever had. You have a version of yourself that you have not met yet. It is waiting on the other side of the thing you keep avoiding, the hard conversation, the early morning, the project you keep postponing, the commitment you keep almost making. That version does not live in comfort. It lives in the work you hate. The third truth. What you repeatedly do becomes what you permanently are. We think of character as something we are born with, something fixed, something that either exists in you or it doesn't. But Ali's life tells a different story entirely. Character is not born. Character is built. It is built in the repetition of hard choices, in the accumulation of mornings when you showed up anyway, in the compounding of decisions, each one small in isolation, each one enormous in aggregate. Every mile Ali ran when he hated running was a vote for the kind of man he was becoming. Every sparring session, every sacrifice, every time he chose the vision over the feeling, the future over the comfort, the championship over the warm bed, he was not born great. He built greatness one hated minute at a time. The fourth truth: your principles will cost you something, pay it anyway. When Ali refused the draft, he knew what it would cost. He did not make that decision with bravado or without fear. He made it because he had spent years, thousands of hours alone in gyms and on roads, building a relationship with himself that was stronger than his fear of consequence. He said it plainly. He said he had nothing to lose by standing up for his beliefs, because a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. What do you stand for? Not in theory. Not in the abstract. In your actual daily life. What are the things you will not compromise on? What are the lines you will not cross? What are the values that live not just in your words, but in your choices, your sacrifices, your willingness to pay a price that other people are not willing to pay? Ali paid his price in full. 3.5 years. His title, his income, his reputation in the eyes of millions who called him a traitor for the decision that history would eventually call courage. He paid it, without flinching, because some things are worth more than the cost. I want you to think about something. Right now in your life, there is something you have been putting off, something you know you should be doing, something you started and stopped, or something you have been planning to start for so long that the plan has become a substitute for the action. You know what it is. You don't need me to name it. It is sitting there right now, somewhere in the back of your mind, quiet but persistent, like a light that refuses to go completely out no matter how many times you try to ignore it. And the reason you haven't done it, the real reason, the one beneath the excuses, the one beneath the not enough time and the not the right moment and the I'll start on Monday, is this. You are waiting to want to. You are waiting for the feeling. Waiting for the passion to arrive fully formed and carry you through. Waiting for the process to feel good before you commit to it. Waiting for certainty. Waiting for readiness. Waiting for a morning when the alarm goes off and you leap out of bed and every cell in your body is aligned and the work feels like joy. Muhammad Ali did not wait for that morning. He got up anyway. He ran anyway. He trained anyway. He showed up anyway. To the gym, to the ring, to the fight for his principles, to the comeback after the exile, to the ropes in Zaire when the whole world thought it was over. He showed up anyway. And somewhere in that anyway, in that raw, unglamorous, unheroic daily commitment to doing the thing even when he hated doing the thing, he became something that the world had never seen before and has not seen since. The greatest. Not because he was born with gifts beyond other men. Not because the road was smooth or the world was kind or the conditions were perfect. Because he refused. He refused to let how he felt determine what he did. He refused to let his comfort be more important than his calling. He refused to stop. And here is what I need you to hear. Really hear. Deep in whatever part of you still believes in the thing you came here for. You have that same refusal available to you, right now. Today. In the life you are actually living, not the one you are waiting to begin, the road is cold. The morning is early. The work is hard. The progress is invisible. The doubt is loud. Get up anyway. Run anyway. Build anyway. Show up anyway. Because the greatest version of your life is not waiting for you to feel like it. It is waiting for you to decide. Muhammad Ali is gone from this world now. But what he left behind is not just a record of fights won and titles held. What he left behind is a way of being. A demonstration, played out in public, in the ring, on the road before dawn, in courtrooms, in exile, in comeback, of what a human being is capable of when they decide that the feeling is not in charge. The vision is in charge. The decision is in charge. And once the decision is made, truly made, not wished, not hoped, not written in a journal and forgotten, the feelings eventually follow. Not always. Not every morning, but enough. Enough to keep moving. Enough to take the next step. Enough to get through the mile that feels impossible and discover the one after it is slightly less so. This is what I'm asking you to do today. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not when the circumstances align and the conditions improve and the fear quiets down enough that action feels safe. Today, I am asking you to identify the one thing in your life that you keep avoiding because you don't feel like doing it. The workout, the business plan, the difficult conversation, the creative work you keep saving for someday, the habit you keep almost building, the dream you keep almost chasing. Name it, right now. In your own mind right now, name it. And then do the Muhammad Ali thing. Hate it. Hate every minute of it if you need to, but do not quit. Because the gap between the life you have and the life you want is not made of talent. It is not made of luck. It is not made of resources or connections or the right moment arriving. It is made of mornings, just mornings. Morning after morning after morning of showing up to the thing you hate long enough for the hate to become habit, and the habit to become identity, and the identity to become legacy. Ali said he hated every minute of training. He did not say he regretted it. He did not say it wasn't worth it. He did not say the championship felt hollow because the path was hard. He became the greatest of all time. And the road that made him great was the road he hated. So here is your road. It is cold. It is early. It is long. It does not come with a guarantee. It does not come with applause or cameras or anyone watching at all. It comes with a choice. The same choice that a boy made in Louisville before the world knew his name. Before the belts, before the legend, before any of it. The choice to get up. The choice to go. The choice to hate every minute of it. And never quit. That is the only difference between the life you are living and the life you are capable of. The only difference. Now go find out what you are made of.